This is the TIP Network, where we help you level up through self-improvement with a little sprinkle of sarcasm. And as you can see, we are virtual again because
we're in the metaverse.
We're in the metaverse. I forgot
the metaverse.
The metaverse, because I am here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And where are you, young man?
They don't need to know.
He is somewhere abroad. Hide your kids, hide your wives. No, I'm playing.
We gotta keep our location on the down low.
We gotta keep Scott's location secret because he's hiding from all of those ladies he's been sliding in the DMs in. But no. So here's the thing.
Oh, just like the Fresh and Fit boys.
Yeah, I'm not sure those boys are sliding in DMs, but something really crazy happened this week, and we're going to talk about it. But how we're going to talk about it, I guarantee you, is different than anyone else because we have a different take on things here at the TIP Network. So, Scott, why don't you?
And also, we really don't hate Fresh and Fit. We do not condone the actions they've done before in the past, leveraging their platform for bots.
That's basically the biggest.
And the copyright strikes. That doesn't help too.
Well, my biggest thing was the copyright strikes. My biggest thing was like, you go on and like, regardless of people talk bad about you or not, I mean, you don't try to get them deplatformed. And, you have a lot of folks who are like, hold on, I work really hard to build this platform up. And so I said some disparaging things about you. So instead of trying to limit my free speech, you should have just combated it with more speech.
Mm-hmm. And make more content, which you make more views and then make more dollars.
Exactly.
Ultimately, it's a content game. This is a business. It's a content creator economy.
Yes. So why don't you tell us what happened and your take on it?
All right. So this story, I'm going to go run it through it quick. So as you may know, that Fresh and Fit had a podcast. I'm going to throw some graphics up here. And that podcast was taken down by YouTube for violating their terms of service because it had nudity in the podcast. Now, was there nudity in the podcast? It seems like there wasn't any nudity, but it seemed like Fresh and Fit, that particular podcast, was mass reported. So how do we know this is real? Well, number one, here you got the YouTube graphic I'm showing you. It says that it's violated terms of service and there was nudity involved in the video. So that is an official thing coming from YouTube. And then also there's a clip here, maybe I'll insert it, with Ayindei talking about, no, actually it was on Duke and Dawn, where they were talking about how, or Myron was saying that they got a suspension letter from YouTube itself. So they couldn't post any videos. They couldn't post anything on their community tab. So then they went over to Twitch. They went over to Twitter and on Periscope, which is Twitter's live streaming service. And they did their live streams from there. So that is what the official story is. Now there's two sides to the story. I've heard Grover's theory at first, but his theory merged into this other person's theory, which is Ayindei's theory, where Ayindei believed that Fresh and Fit, what they were trying to do is funnel all their audience members to their Patreon account. While Grover think it was the higher ups that was limiting and throttling the reach of the Fresh and Fit podcast. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna let Grover explain exactly how his thoughts change and a couple of the other things that has now come on his mind.
All right, so the biggest thing that I thought about, and just to recap, is that when we said Fresh and Fit versus the music industry, when we did that, I said that, look, you're messing with people who have reach. And we have to also realize that YouTube, the majority of their business, I'm going to say 70% of their business is generating assets from videos. But 30% of their business easily can be their music streaming service. And the head of their streaming service, the president of their streaming service is Lear Cohen, who is still highly connected to the music business, and making someone mad, even someone, a lower level celebrity or lower level entertainer like Asian Doll, can lead to just backlash because just the way they treated them and other folk. And it just takes someone to whisper into someone's ear and says, hey, I don't like them. And you start getting throttled. Limited monetization and things like that nature, which appears to have happened. Now, it could have been a mass reporting also of just that person's fans, which, but my theory at first was that just so many eyes on the space, so many eyes on them, they start going through and looking at their content before and, just start demonetizing some of their content. And
and real quick, the
limited monetization, excuse me.
So with the YouTube, they didn't have their eyes on Fresh and Fit. But the fact is that Fresh and Fit has gotten themselves in a perfect storm with battling other content creators and kicking girls out and having guns on camera and all sorts of shenanigans, the YouTube team's going to be looking at them now. They're actually going to have human reviewers watching their content to make sure they're not effing up. Because at this point, from what I've seen, from what I've been hearing, is that there's limited monetization on any subject talking about Fresh and Fit. So if we were monetized, our video right now would be limited in its monetization capabilities because we're talking about Fresh and Fit. So now when you really think about it, if you're in Fresh and Fit, if you're Fresh and Fit as a content creator, think about their earning potential. How much has their earning potential been diminished and cut almost 80%? Mm-hmm. Like
that's tough. And like, I know all of the fans there, which we have, there's just some true things. Fresh and Fit has phenomenal engagement, fanatical fans, people who are going to support them, and they support them with super chats and they support them with money. So and I've had people come at me and say, "Fool, they get $10,000 easy super chats an episode, maybe even 20,000." But we have to really understand that YouTube only cares about 30% of that money. When it comes down to business, it's not how much money you get, it's how much of your money I get when you're on my platform. And we're all guests on this platform. So
independent contractors, technically.
Independent contractors, but we're a guest because you're an independent contractor, but your contract can be terminated at any time.
At any time.
That means you're a guest. And they can change the terms of service with an update and get you out of there for something you already did.
And in fact, the way they write their terms of service, they make it somewhat vague so they can be open to interpretation. Mm-hmm. That anytime you F up, they can interpret in a way that it matches the terms of service, saying, "Oh, you violated terms of service."
I was actually a guest on a panel, and I was explaining to them how businesses automatically do this on purpose to give them the leeway to change and be flexible. I use Starbucks as an example, where Starbucks, they don't have a policy that says that you have to be a patron there to use the restroom. They leave it up to the discretion of the manager, which means that if anything goes bad, it's kind of on that manager, and not on the corporation. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of loopholes and a lot of things that they don't write. Policies are normally written to avoid lawsuits. In this case, the terms of service is written very loosely to avoid lawsuits. Mm-hmm. Now, Ayindei's version was that, hey, they're doing this to funnel people to their Patreon. And you know what? There was some empirical evidence that was true, because somebody did some snooping.
Yeah, but from the creator economy side, that's not a bad tactic. This is what you want to do. In fact, the moment that TIP Network has a website, or my Unity, I have a website right now. You can go over Unity right now. What I'm doing is I'm funneling you towards the website. I'm funneling you towards, so I can ensure that I have the email capture and I have you as an audience member off of YouTube as a platform. So in a sense, I've now collected you for a lifetime because we have this working relationship where you actually can contact me directly through my website, which I can monetize even better than from YouTube.
And here's a big thing, and like, it's smart. Kevin Samuel says you have to be platform agnostic. And that's why he said, that's why I built 1 million on Instagram and 1 million on YouTube. Gary Vaynerchuk preaches that.
Roberto Blake says that too.
Blake preaches that your guy.
That's my dude. That's my guy.
Roberto Blake. And I was a little skeptical, but I started watching these videos, and he's the man.
He's the man. He
gives out jewels of information. He's very smart, but he's very tactical in his speech, and I appreciate that. I try to be tactical in my speech and really try to convey the point, and I find it very educational to listen to him. Back to this situation. I mean, we talked about folks whose name we can't even mention on YouTube because it's an automatic throttle, and they have their own website and everyone gets funneled there. So there's nothing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, if I was Fresh and Fit, I would be funneling people to my own website behind my own paywall to see all the salacious material that they wanted to see.
And then from the creator economy side, you got to think about this too. YouTube needs to be advertiser friendly because that's how they make their money.
Yes.
Then you go over to Twitch. Twitch caters to their female content creators. Mm-hmm. So if you have a messaging like Fresh and Fit, how long do you think they can last on Twitch? And Twitch is notorious for banning people left and right. And then now you got Twitter, which Twitter tends to be very liberal. Mm-hmm. And when the Twitter mob, the Twitter culture comes and see what Fresh and Fit is doing on Periscope, which is Twitter's live stream, And Patreon is also a YouTube Lite. So technically, the only way that Fresh and Fit is safe is if they have their own website.
And
it really is.
There's examples of folks who have their own websites, whether you agree with this gentleman or not, and we can put the graphic of just his face, just his face up, right? But guess what? He spent years understanding that he was going to get kicked off of platforms and funneling people to his website, and he's still making millions of dollars.
Oh, millions of dollars.
You know,
sponsorships and everything. Yeah.
You know, selling crazy juice.
And no one's taking a 30% cut from you either.
That's right.
Remember that.
Right. That's right. But I want to tell just a little story, if I can, about before I was close to being a content creator. I was a heavy consumer of alternative media, and you know, and I went.
What's alternative media?
Well, when I say alternative media, I'm talking about alternative news, and I went all the way as left as a Young Turks at one time. Jimmy Dore, who, like they say, is a lefty, but he's actually kind of just like an independent thinker and like really calls it like he sees it. You know, and then like Rising, Kim Iverson, so some really great alternative.
Crystal and Sagar.
Breaking Points now, Crystal and Sagar, which I out of all the folks that I just said, I watch Rising because Kim Iverson is on it now, and I watch Breaking Points daily with Crystal and Sagar. That's the news that I consume, right? I don't even consume media, but when these content creators and this alternative news source started coming up, something called Adpocalypse hit. And basically what happened was there was an excuse that there was some type of thing inappropriate showed on like a child's video or something, right? And YouTube took and killed everybody's AdSense, and they really hammered alternative media. They really hammered media, and to the point where folks were not making any money, to the point where they were showing their monetization and they were like, you know, $5,000, and then going all the way down to like 3 pennies for the week. And they're doing a show every day for 3 hours a day, and they have like maybe it's 4 people on an operation, and they have to, you know, they're going to get $5,000. They were feeding everybody, and then they had,
and not only that, but also freelancers too.
They had nothing, and this was terrifying. And something I want to talk to people who make men's content in general. Let's put all the pettiness away. Let's put all the bullshit away. And I'm going to talk specifically to people who are far apart on this men's topic. I got to talk to O'Shea Duke Jackson, who's as far apart from Donovan Sharp as he could be, and I'm going to talk to Donovan Sharp. Hey guys, and to the homies, to the people we vibe with, to the people we talk to, like Duke and Don, our friends, Ayindei, Guide and Motivate,
the lead attorney,
the TLA with the legal hand, the TLA, Nixon Talks,
yeah,
our main man, you know,
Black Light Revelations, Great Pill Podcast,
all of these guys. What we have to understand is that regardless of if we like people, we like to clown people or not, if they just torpedo the ads, ain't nobody making a living. And so we have to all start thinking about standing on our own too. And I know a lot of folks have said things about creating our own platform, which is incredibly difficult, takes a lot of money. But you know what? Everybody can create their own website and drive people there.
Yep.
Sure, YouTube is great. All these other hosting services are great, but we are guests in someone else's house. But you know what's the ultimate being agnostic is driving people to your website, collecting that email, like you said. I mean, there's a lot of times, a lot of folks did that back in the past. That was a hustle because there wasn't a YouTube. And what people would do is like every time you went to a concert, we get you on a sign up list. You know, people on the street team would sign you up, get your, we write it down by hand, couldn't read it half the time, get your email, send you an email, get you on the fan club and all of these things. Because remember, this email capture came from the fan club where they used to get your phone number and your address. Then they got your web address, and it was easier because people would give out their web address. And like, I remember when we were working, when I was doing contracting for artists, and like as part of their security, I remember telling them, hey man, just tell them to give you their spam address of that, because and just tell them to check it. And then if they like what we're doing, they could unspam it. It's just one of those things. So, I mean, the biggest thing that I'm going to go out here is that regardless of if we believe that this is legit or not, who cares? It's time for us as content creators to let's make sure that we understand that the light is on us now, that things are getting throttled, and also, and Joe Rogan is also considered a men's podcast, right?
Mm.
And so we see what he's going under, and he's the big dog, right? We're in a niche space right now,
let me add in with Danimations, which we've used his content exclusively for reviews, of course, and giving him credit. His channel specialized in making Patrice O'Neal content, and I'll show you an example up here, a quick graphic. And the thing is, on the community tab, you can read it right here, and I'll probably read it off in the editing. It's from the editing studio. But basically, Patrice O'Neal content is now getting throttled on his channel, so he's having to make pivot to doing content on other celebrities and making animations out of that. Wow. So if Patrice O'Neal content is getting throttled and his content, he's like the godfather of the red pill, or the grandfather and the godfather of the red pill. Yeah. You can only imagine how other content that's talking about red pillness or men's self-improvement, focusing on the plight of men, like they literally are looking at us right now, at all of us.
And so, and it's the last thing I want to say. It's time for us to put our heads together as a community and get some good strategies. So content creator strategies of how to defeat this, right? It's like, we have to take the Japanese approach to business, where when you come, it's a conglomerate of folks with a lot of brain power communicating with somebody. I mean, YouTube's not going to respect it YouTube's not going to respect Joe Rogan or anyone, because even though they're huge and they have pull, and he left and went to Spotify and why did Joe Rogan go to Spotify? Because YouTube was telling him he couldn't put on certain things, that they were gonna totally demonetize him. And so he said, okay, I'll go to Spotify because it's just not worth it. I can have freedom of speech. Last thing I want to say about that Spotify deal is that all of these folks saying that Joe Rogan, Spotify bent the knee to pressure and took off these videos. Joe Rogan had to agree to that, because he has 100% creative control of his product on that platform. It's a very unique. That was the biggest part about this deal that we talked about before, that we were so excited about, because it was 100%. He could have anyone he wanted on, and he can say whatever he wanted. So these old episodes, he probably took them down out of embarrassment, out of just wanting to make it better for himself, out of showing he was sorry, or out of just good strategy. I mean, I would have.
And he also, it is good strategy, because he wants to improve his standing with his social groups and his social spheres of influence. Because if he leaves the content up and he knows it's wrong because he's apologized for it and he wants to make it right, but then he leaves it up, it's almost like, all right, so basically it's for profit. I mean, I'm just giving an interpretation of how someone else would look at it. So like, whatever you think about it, he also has to think about the people that's actually close in his life and that he has a business working relationship with, and who they're connected with.
And the people that he employs.
Yeah. And that's actually, his letter was also to appease the Spotify employees who felt a certain way about it.
Yes. And so, and of course, I think that it's safe to say that we've successfully Trojan horsed our content creator inside.
Of course. We're always going to put it. This is what I specialize at. Yes. This is what I like talking about.
But I think that if anybody has any conversations with us at all, they realize that we are for the content creator. We are content creators, content creator.
Content creator.
And that's what we strive to be, from the stylized edits just to the clear-headed conversation, to really being even killed about stuff. And so, like I said, I know you folks are going to expect me to come out and flame Fresh and Fit. And I don't hope nothing happens to them, because you know what? They have a right, no matter how stupid I think it is, they have a right to have that out there. Yes, the criticism can be harsh. And just like I said about Joe Rogan, it's feel the same way about them. Let's not cancel them. They deserve to be clowned, though. They deserve to be flamed. But of course,
I mean, that's why I keep trying to come back. You want the content creator feedback loop.
Right.
When someone says something more, you want to hold someone accountable, you make more content so you can get more attention, so you can keep boosting your revenues. I want to normalize for people that's watching, for people that's content creators, that the content creator economy is real. I promote and I encourage people to become content creators because when AI comes in and robots start taking over your jobs, guess what? One of the hardest jobs going to be taken over is becoming a content creator. And of course, if you got plumbing and got some other jobs are going to be. But you know what I'm trying to say is the content creator economy, then you're going to naturally go towards the metaverse. You're going to naturally go towards creating things for augmented reality. I mean, I can go on and on about this, but let's normalize the content creator thing where it's like, all right, yes, it is a tactic by Fresh and Fit, but I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing. I think it's actually a smart business move. I mean, think about it. You got Joe Rogan here, still has his Joe Rogan experience clips on YouTube, and that's making money. Like, let's just normalize the making money part of content creation. Like, literally.
You know, when we started talking about AI, Rob from Blacklight was like,
yeah, we get into the blockchain tech, we get into crypto.
People don't know who just started watching this channel. If you go back 2 years ago, it was all about AI, man.
Yeah, that's a game.
It was about automation. It was about it was about how is this automation going to totally affect our lives from one way or the other.
And how is it going to affect our lives in a negative way, but also how is it going to make our lives more convenient, more easy?
Yeah, and are they going to Trojan horse the positive to get to the negative? Because that's what I think they're going to do. Of course, you're less pessimistic than I am.
Yeah, I'm more optimistic on that.
And it's funny because you're wearing like a lighter color and I'm wearing all dark, so you're more optimistic and I'm not.
But yeah, so back to the whole Fresh and Fit, like. What's your general verdict of? So, do you think they were lying? Do you think they were lying about the strike or
no? I don't because their video's not available.
All right. So then, next thing, do you think that there's people in higher levels of the YouTube offices and people that is connected with YouTube in some formal business way? Do you think they're having an influence on our red pill space as well as Fresh and Fit getting throttled?
Yes, because
and limited monetization.
Yes, I definitely do. And I definitely think that we need to be aware of that and we need to start making plans. We need to be making plans for Adpocalypse 4.0 because they've already had 3 of them. So like we need to start, and maybe it'll take a year, maybe it'll take 2 years, but we need to start having our website up, having another place for our content, having our supporters really support us. When we need to, when it's open, we need to be able to do live shows and live podcast shows. I mean, I think the Joe Budden podcast, when he went out with Rory and Maul before they had imploded and crumpled, they had like a tour when they were doing that was really impressive. I think that Fighter and the Kid did a tour that was really impressive. And the Fighter and the Kid, when they did it, they weren't 1 million subs strong. They were like 150,000 subs strong, but they had a super engagement. And yeah, they played small clubs at first and they worked their way up.
But you're still doing what you love to do, though. That's like
what you love to do.
I'm a kid in a candy store when it comes to this type of stuff.
Yes, absolutely. So I think that that's what we really need to do. We need to think about taking this to the next level. I know we need to think larger. We need to think about live instead of live streams. Why aren't we having live shows?
And start adopting mainstream tactics, which would be like having live shows.
Yes,
and community engagements.
I mean, let me tell you something. People actually want to be able to gather and do something again. And if you know what, we should not think that we need to have 60 or 70,000 people. We should be like, can we get 150 people into a small venue? And
a lot of heads.
Can we entertain them? Can we build up just like you build up your subs? I remember when we first started, we was like 17. I remember when we got our first 100 subs, how stoked we were. We were like, oh, it's like 100 subs. Like that's 100 people. Like man, that's like 10 carloads. that's like 10 vans of people. Like,
that's how I always think about it. We got 1,216 people watching now. I mean, I like to refer to subscribers as people because I think about like 1,216 lives are running around there doing something. And they want to dedicate a time of their day to listen and watch us. I think that's amazing.
Even if it's 8 minutes. Okay, so we've rambled on in this stream.
Yeah, we did. But this is near the end. I'm sure the drop-off rate's gonna go down. Yeah. But whatever. We gotta get the watch hours. We're close.
Share it. But what was the question you're gonna ask?
One more thing too is that speaking of our website, like, you know how we've been preaching to you about getting your website? Well, we now have tipnetwork.com. We don't have a website for it yet, but we own it now. We own it. And like I said before, maybe I've cut out this other portion of the video, but we have our Web 3.0 website, tipnetwork.x, which will be in the decentralized social media realm. But so another question, actually, I didn't have any other questions. So yeah. All right. Actually, I do have a question. Do you think Fresh and Fit are being unfairly targeted by the I'm trying to go for this word here, by the usual suspects of content creators?
No, it's like, I think first of all, it's all is fair and love and war, right? Mm-hmm. You know, so like if they wouldn't have had the copyright strike thing, I would have been like, come on, man, we should get off these guys now. But when you do the copyright strike and you go after folks, sorry.
You declared war, basically?
Yeah, you declare war on people because you're trying to take away their baby. Like, I'd be really upset if somebody tried to hit us with some strikes for some stuff that was obviously fair use. You know, when painstakingly we chop up stuff and make sure that we're fair using it. When we try to we alter every content where we basically let a clip run for like less than 30 seconds and talk about it. And I seen a lot of folks did that. It's not like people were just sitting there playing entire streams or anything like that and bootlegging them. So yeah, I think that it's fair for people to be critical of them every time they do something. And they have to understand that if they're going to do something like that and go into the fire, and it's a mistake, and they don't want to admit that it's a mistake because people have pride, but it's a mistake, and that's just what's going to happen. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. I admit it all the time. Like I called Ayindei, and I was like, "Hey, bro, I think you were right." You know, I said you were right about this, but then I said, "Hey, he was right." Then he said, "Hey, I watched this." I said, "Whoa, I was wrong." So I was wrong twice about the same thing. You know, it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to say.
What do you mean you're wrong twice about the same thing?
I was wrong twice about the same thing. I was wrong when I thought that it was them being just beat on by the community. I'm not sure, right? But then I was wrong when I was convinced that it was fake because it was only 3 days and not 7 days as I heard, right? Mm-hmm. And then it turns out that it was real. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was real. Yeah. And so like I went through a roller coaster of things. And of course, before we recorded, we really tried to verify and do a little research. But you know, it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to change. And this is something that I'm very concerned with in this space. I'm very concerned with people acting like they're not going to change as they get older. Mm-hmm. You know, like, are we going to have 65-year-old men saying that, hey, I'm single, I'm a widower or nothing, but I'm not going to marry a single mother? like
change all the time.
Like, I mean, I guess it's immaterial at that age, but let's say 50 years old, right? 2 years away from me, 50 years old. And the person is a widower and they marry somebody. Are they not going to marry them because they're a single mother? What if their kids are 17? What if their kids are 16 and 17 years old? And so you help the kids out for 3 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just all of these firm. Of course, there's things become more nuanced the older you get.
Yeah, hey, this is one thing I know about the universe and I know about life. Never say never.
Yeah, things become more nuanced.
Never say never.
Things become more nuanced. Hey, I'm gonna tell you something. I know dudes who are dead, and I'll leave it with this because this is hilarious. I know dudes who are dead, man. I ain't messing with no single mom. It don't make no sense, bro. I ain't gonna raise nobody else's kid.
Why you gotta do that voice?
This and that, bro. I ain't gonna do that, bro, man. And this Latina walked by. She was Puerto Rican or something. I mean, ass so fat you could see it from the front. It was ridiculous.
Can you put a cup on it?
You could put a cup on it and bounce the quarter off the floor and lean it against the side, right? It was amazing. Right? She was fine.
Yeah.
She was fine. And I remember we were all looking at her and she went up and picked up her kid and dude went up and talked to her and I said, "Hey, homie, I thought you wasn't messing with no single." He is married to that woman right now.
He's like, "Oh, you know."
He is married to that woman. That kid is 18 years old. He's like, "Man, we're gonna put this boy through college." And it's like, dude, stop acting like that. People are dynamic, right?
Yeah.
No,
and people are short. They forget about that. They forget that
people are dynamic.
Oh, yeah,
and so you could go through this rhetoric, and yes, it's best to do that to protect yourself, but also it's up to you to take the risk, but take a calculated risk if you're going to take the risk. Yeah. Anyway, do you have a question to ask the fans? Because I do, if you don't.
Yeah, go ahead.
To the fans, and this is to our content creators, how are you preparing for Adpocalypse 4?
Jeez, that's kind of doomsday. I mean, we got some crazy things that's happening over in Europe right now. So, but all right, that's all. That's the question of the day. So remember to always like and subscribe. You know,
hit the notification.
It helps us with the algorithm, the AI.
Yep, share it. Help us with the AI.
Hit the bell for more notifications.
Appreciate all the subs. You can follow us on social media. You can
follow wait. Make sure you leave as many comments as you want to.
7,000.
You want to see those healthy discussions.
26 comments. You can argue with each other like other
because it's fun. Just because you think we're not watching, trust me, we're looking through the threads.
You can follow us. You can follow me at I am Gorilla1 on the gram. You can follow this man at ScottT. I had to memorize it because he forgot hella time.
Yeah, all the time.
And of course, all of our social media is consolidated at the TIP Network. TIP Network, every platform, and
more of our social media links will be included in the description down below. So go ahead if you want to follow us there. And that's all I got.
All right, so let's do it old school style. Okay. Ask yourself one burning question.
Do you like big booties?
We out, man.
That's old school, right? You said old school. I'll give you old school.
We're out. Bye. Bye. Do you like big booties?
I know I sure do.
I'm mesmerized, dude.
All right.
All right.
Peace out.
Peace.